hormones and other sorts of desires that create the types of competition they rely. Because although capitalism, you can compete for a wage, sexual desire is much worse when you do not have the legibility of modern biology. First, because you cannot cause and affect your own pleasures within the sexual realm. For instance, I don't think a North Sentinel Island man can find a clitoris, for example, or know that it's linked to orgasms. I would posit they have superstitions about breeding and pregnancy, and then act upon those in ways that do not derive sexual pleasure. I don't even think they could meaningfully then say that those are good things for all the reasons we've seen stigmatization of sexuality. So your pleasures might not even become pleasures in meaning making. They could become things that you stigmatize. E.g., the vast majority of primitive societies hated women on periods because they were higher hormone and they were seen as dirty and therefore stigmatized for their desires and meaning making. Yes, Soji?
You don't have space for hope or joy when you fall sick due to malnutrition, have to pay up healthcare costs, stay up at night out of fear you'll lose food security, and climate change nearly guarantees your livelihood will be destroyed.
Okay, second, is this comparative of capitalism very, very bad per the government bench? The first thing I would say here is that meaning-making solves back against capitalism. For the reason we've seen epochs and periods of societies becoming more communist, being able to question capitalism, have class struggle, for the reason that you act upon autonomy here. And this is when like protests and things are quite revealed preferences that even the downtrodden are able to fight for themselves and act upon autonomously. Secondarily, the immaterial conditions are still straight up better. Like, I just don't understand the typologies of mechanisms that they give, when in reality we have seen large amounts of people lifted out from poverty through technologies, through the Green Revolution, and us escape the Malthusian trap. Look, the question then becomes, does capitalism create desires that are worse? And this is where Ashish fucks up my PRI, which is that this is not a society of Buddhism and therefore introspection where you are free from desire. Because to actually achieve this sort of lack of desire, you need the practices of multi-generational knowledge. Things like meditation, psychedelics, and an intentional community that you choose. If you are just born into a community that does not have capitalistic desire, you're just kind of like you're not choosing enlightenment or lack of desire. You're just going about it with the replacement of sexual and biological desire that you cannot make sense of. At the very least, our world makes sense of it, and you can actually do something. You can just join a temple if you are preset per the desires of OG, CG.
Yeah. Even if there are nightmares or religious explanations often solve that. You can say God is angry with you, for example, so do better things. This is exactly how religion functions, and you believe more and often create trust around your community versus being much more scared when there are no plausible explanations in science.
If every time I had an orgasm and people told me that God was angry at me and that I was dirty, that would not give me meaning, that would make me feel worse meaning, and that meaning would destroy me from the inside as I question my biological urges. The second thing I would say here is their problem is I get the wrong typology of religion, because the types of religions they name are multi-generational ones and can form meaning making from textual multi-generational paths. These are oral traditions where you do not get the contact with reality with other sorts of societies. Islam is only able to grow because it's spread throughout the Middle East and through trade. Christianity has had to go against science and actually do meaning making and meet the modern world and provide against the existential acts. The additional responses here are as follows. Secondly, we would say that all this social media and desire creation stuff is actually solved back by our cause and effect material. For the reason, the very fact in this debate we know that social media makes us sad is because we can do multiple studies on that psychology and people can quit their addiction. Secondarily, I would say you can actually do the introspection and use oral language to introspect upon your own feelings, provide labels to it, and do things like take an SSRI. I just don't think depression is as soul-crushing as they say. Go to therapy, guys. Take an antidepressant. That actually helps. Even if you are too poor for those things, I would say it's quite telling the Western modern world is high amount. So you're actually contradictory. If you think desire making and mental illness are modern maladies, then in those worlds, those are worse. But if they're biological maladies, I don't know how you get more serotonin in a world that does not have these things. You're just going to be much sadder. You cannot make meaning out of it. You think you're the odd one out, and you cannot explain why you're mentally ill hell on North Sentinel Island. Maybe you can't afford SSRIs on their world, but at least you have a label for it, and you do not hate yourself or think the gods hate you, and that's your only endpoint of suffering. I think at the end here, maybe we do not get a perfect world. Maybe the downtrodden are always going to be perpetually poor, but they can be put a label on their suffering and make meaning out of it and understand it and group together. And we as societies are able to change that. In their world, the folk religions trap you in a war of illusions in which your biological desires, your mental illnesses, your physical ailments are ones that you say, the gods did this to me, and then it's fucking game over. There's a world without autonomy, there's a world without chance of pleasure, and much worse by all moral paradigms. Very proud to oppose.
Okay, I thank everybody for what was a fine debate. Please step outside, shake hands, we'll call you back in at 15 to 20 minutes. Guys, I'm starting a timer. At 1 minute, we'll start
Well, live with my memory as long as I'm living. I don't think you're okay.